In this study, we looked at a group of 76 adolescents and 70 adults who were all using cannabis frequently. And we had them come into the lab 5 times over a 12-month period, and we assessed things like their cannabis use frequency, as well as an assessment of their cannabis use disorder symptoms. Cannabis use disorder refers to a pattern of cannabis use that causes some kind of impairment or distress to the individual. This can be things like using more cannabis than originally intending to within a session, potentially wanting to reduce cannabis use but being unable to, as well as things like just generally cannabis use interfering with day-to-day obligations. So we found that 70% of the adolescent group reported that they had failed to do what was normally expected from them because of using cannabis. And 80% reported devoting a great deal of time to getting, using, or recovering from cannabis use. On the other hand, only 20% of the adult group reported failing to do what was normally expected of them because of cannabis, and 50% reporting a great deal of time using cannabis. So there's quite a big difference between the experiences that adolescents are having from using cannabis compared to the adults. This is the first study where we've used this new comprehensive measure of cannabis use. And the way we did this was to measure the amount of THC that each of the participants consumed. THC is the primary psychoactive component of cannabis. It's what makes someone feel intoxicated after use, but it's also what we think is associated with some of these negative outcomes from cannabis use. Even after we adjusted for this comprehensive measure of cannabis quantity, the adolescents did still seem to be at this increased risk of reporting these symptoms of cannabis use disorder. We would like adolescents to be made aware of these different cannabis use disorder symptoms and their potential vulnerability so that they can try to make healthier choices around their drug use behaviours.